Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is the Paddock Podcast. I'm joined by Jay and Ronaldo. I am Joe, of course. A lot to talk about today.
Yes.
Following yesterday's big win. Win. What do they call it, Ronaldo? United Arsenal? The timeline derby.
Is it the timeline derby?
The timeline derby.
I like that, the timeline derby, because I used to call it the internet derby. It's like, because everyone's always on, but the timeline derby is much better.
I think there might be a slightly better name for it, but I think it's something along the lines of a timeline derby.
I like timeline. It's sort of time weird derby.
That's nice, that timeline derby, because it does feel like that.
United and Arsenal, obviously, as we know, online and on Twitter, have quite a huge presence and following, and it's one of the biggest rivalries on the app. So when we actually beat them, and vice versa, it's not a great place to be for a little bit, and and I've actually seen it in the past 24 hours. It's not been a happy hunting ground.
You've been basking in it. Well, we're going to go through that.
You've been gone full Steven Alson. I'm going to have a bit of it.
I'm reveling it because I've been telling people for a while. I don't know if it's an age thing. I don't know what it is, but I hate Arsenal with every fibre of my being. Like literally, I hate them so much, and it didn't get any better yesterday.
I love that. With every fibre in my being, and literally, I hate them so much.
Yeah. And you know what it is?
Because like a reverse Valentine's Day.
And people compare.
I love you so much. I hate you so much. Like I really hate you.
And then do you know what it is? Because I hate them more than City. You know Jay can't relate with that. Jay has Arsenal like what, 6th in the list?
No,
like that.
I think my first are the Scousers. Second is City. Third is Leeds. Fourth is Chelsea, and then fifth is probably Arsenal.
Yeah, you hate Chelsea more than Arsenal.
I have history with Chelsea though, a physical history over the years.
For me, it's Liverpool, Arsenal, then City. For me,
mine would be Liverpool, City, then Arsenal. But I get that you because same with me when I first started watching.
I think you're an age because our kid is Arsenal. Because he grew up in that same era as you, like we were going toe to toe. There was proper scraps. The fans have always been muppets. And also if you're a certain age, Liverpool wasn't a thing. Like when I bet when you were up until like last. Yeah,
they weren't very good at that time.
Late Fergie era Liverpool was nothing.
No,
really. I know they had that 2005 season, but other than that, it was now.
Yeah, because I was obviously a lot of the time that I was watching them properly. It was when their best player at the time, one of the best was people like Raul Meireles and that. remember it? And my fear was playing them when it was Dirk Kuyt scoring against us and that. So it was that type of.
You can't get too excited over a Ryan Babel, can you?
Even then, people think I should have some sort of like obviously respect for Liverpool to an extent. Obviously, playing there for 5-6 years as an academy player, but. Obviously,
I love that.
As a fan now.
I love people think like
it only made you hate them more.
Yeah, because you played there.
We're going to talk about the rivalry. We'll talk about the reaction to it on social media. I also want to talk about how we're seeing a different Man United recently in these last couple of games. It's not just a case of we've got lucky. It's been a couple of smash and grab results. I know the Arsenal one turned into that a little bit more by the end due to the 10 men / 12 men of Arsenal. But it isn't just a case of we've got lucky and done well in 2 games. These are radically different performances, and it seems like a very different Manchester United to the one we've seen for most of this season, and to be honest, almost all of last season as well. So I want to look at that, what Amorim's done, and how that's affecting what we're seeing on the pitch, and a little sort of look forward to what are these harder to get up for games, as history's proven. The likes of Southampton, and we've got Crystal Palace soon as well, haven't we? We've got who else have we got next week? We've got Rangers as well.
Brighton are coming up, I think.
The sort of games where you can mentally kind of lapse a little bit. So we'll get into all that. Get your thoughts in the comments as well, reaction to the game yesterday. Let's start with a couple of people in particular from the game yesterday. I think has come out of that game with an extra level of respect and admiration from United fans. Manuel Ugarte, Harry Maguire, and I think to a certain extent, Matthijs de Ligt as well. Players that have had obviously ups and downs. I think Ugarte started with a bit of a dip, didn't he? In the last couple of months, everyone's been loving him. Maguire's had big ups and downs at United. De Ligt's had these kind of mini waves of certain pundits not being keen. I think Gary Neville and Paul Scholes have been quite critical of him the whole time he's been here. Fans seem to like him a little bit more, but yesterday he put in a fantastic performance. Just on those players in particular, Jay, do you think we're seeing a different style of fight out of them? Like, obviously, Maguire, at times, you said to me upstairs before, when Maguire's kicking off, you kind of know something must be up because he doesn't usually do it. Do you like that he did do it in that situation, that he is showing a bit more fire than sometimes he would?
One of my biggest criticisms of, it wasn't just Maguire, it was the team in the past, and I always go back to the Liverpool game at Old Trafford where we lost 5-0 under Wally, and I think it was Ronaldo kicks the ball, I think, at Curtis Jones. The Liverpool players go mad, and I think there was only Ronaldo and Bruno, I think, that were having it. Maybe Fred might have got over there. But I remember looking at the players, just not wanting to get involved, not really backing the teammates, and it knocked me sick. You got Liverpool at Old Trafford kicking off, and no one's up for it. And you've seen I'm not saying we should all be running around fighting, but the great United teams have always been teams that have stuck together, fought for each other, and when it's kicked off, have been there. And we've seen that, even when we were winning trebles and all that. If it went off, everyone would get involved, and you knew you had a bit of a scrap in your hand. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing players that are up for it. You've got players that I think naturally like that, like Ugarte. He's a bit of a combative type of character. Lisandro Martinez has that in him. Bruno's always had that in him. Yeah. Then you've got other players who are not necessarily people you'd associate with getting involved in fighting or scrapping, but are up for it if it kicks off. Even players like Garnacho getting involved. He's signing it. Yeah. But he was getting involved. We saw Maguire, like you said, he was fuming with Kai Havertz's behaviour yesterday, and rightly so. Then you've got other players who, just, right, this is it, De Ligt and one or two others who don't shy away from it. So it's good to see that. I think you need a bit of that. Obviously, you've got to temper it. You can't just go around clumping people, because if anyone else had got a red card,
is it long term?
Yeah, we would have lost the game. But I want teams to know that if you're going to go in, you do a nasty challenge, or you do something, or you kick off with one of our players, they're all up for it.
So, under Amorim, what we've seen so far is that when United are playing against our rivals, such as City, Liverpool, Arsenal, players are turning up, and it's not just turning up in terms of the actual ability to actually play football and do stuff technically, but it's in here they're looking like they care as much as we do, and that's something that we've criticised a lot of the recent years when we've looked at United playing against the likes of City. It seems like they've not taken enough pride. Do you know what I mean? Because it's Manchester United, it doesn't matter what place we're in, we should be able to equalise it by knowing we don't like City, we don't like Liverpool, we don't like Arsenal. These are our rivals. We're going to make sure we don't get beat. They might be a little bit better than we are at this point, but we need to make it difficult for them. And I think we always made it too easy for these teams. And I think that's the shift that needs to change. Is we need to now see us kind of dominate games or put in good performances against teams where we're expected to be the ones that win, and we're expected to be the ones that put in a performance. But for me, I'm just really happy with the little changes in mentality that I'm seeing from the team under Amorim. I'm seeing commitment. I'm seeing players actually sprinting back now. I'm seeing players caring about each other, and that really resonates with us as fans. And I think we almost getting excited about it because we haven't seen enough of it. And I've said the other day, it's half the reason why, as fans, we taken to Martinez so much, especially when he first arrived. And you've seen it the same with Ugarte, because they've both got that similar spirit when they play. Do you know what I mean? They've got a spirit about them. You can almost get behind them. They look like they care. They're committed. And I've always said you can't fool fans with that. Fans can see when a player's committed or not. They can tell straight away. And
also, this is what people mean when they talk about the culture changing. It's not just talent and how many step overs can you do, how far from the goal can you put it in the top corner. That's not really the culture of the dressing room when they talk about changing the culture at Man United. It's working hard every single game and working for each other and defending each other and having a team spirit there. That will carry you a long way. We saw that under Solskjaer, in the last 10 years, probably maybe Jose's second season and under Solskjaer for those 2 years. That's the best I would say the culture has been at Manchester United, in terms of it looked like the team liked each other and they cared about each other and they would fight for each other. And there were other things missing in those teams, whether it be a little top end quality or whether it be sort of tactics to beat the bigger teams in big games. But they get you second in the league, third in the league. If you can get a team that's well oiled, that's a decent squad working together, that will rocket you up the table. Look at Forest at the minute. They haven't got the second best team in the league, or even the third or the fourth, probably top 10 best team in the league. They are one of the hardest teams to beat in England. They're second or third, I think they're third at the moment in the league.
So and more than half the season now and then there, you know. That's the thing. It's like
it's not, but
there comes a point where you're a bit like,
no, but it's not.
Actually,
obviously they've got some really good players as well. I'm not doubting that. But we've seen enough of Chris Wood over the last decade to know roughly how good this guy is. And then all of a sudden, in the last 2 years, 18 months or so, he's gone from being like 10 goal, 11 goals, 6 goal, 12 goals to what was it, 17 goals last season? He's already on 12 or 13 this season. Like, he's gone up a level.
Yeah,
this whole squad has gone up.
Even by his standards, like, he's never been that guy.
No, he hasn't. And like he's a good player, but he's never been this guy. And that is a team that has got a good amount of quality, but has got the right culture about it. Yeah. And that's what United need. Like I said this the other day, but if you go back 6 weeks or 2 weeks even, and you talk about United's squad, we hated him. Not like we hated him, but
not like Ronnie hates Arsenal.
Yeah, not like that. But you know what I mean? Like the general consensus on social media was that this squad is rotten to the core. Yeah. And there's no good apples, and it's all bad.
But because you know what's interesting though, because it is basically the same set of players, and some people might. The cynical types might attribute it to it's a new manager or whatever, and it could just be a bit of a bounce or trying to like. Because sometimes there is a bit of a boost when a new manager comes in, you want to impress him, and sometimes you have to see what the players are going to be like 6 months in, a year in, when things are a little bit difficult or there's got to be some topsy-turvy moments, which there already has been under Amorim. But when it comes to when we talk about the ethos of the squad or like the vibe of it or the culture, sometimes it only takes like 1 or 2 players to kind of not be almost be a bad apple, almost be an energy sapper in that extent, and it can actually infect the rest of the team. So I'm just going to hope that it stays this way, and then we can kind of progress forward in terms of getting better as a team outside of it. But I think the baseline being working harder, running more, caring more about each other, that's a good starting point, and then we can let the rest of it take care of itself, especially when we get more quality in the upcoming windows.
And sometimes it can be the manager, but like you said, sometimes there is a bad apple or two. Like United's form when Ronaldo left just went through, or when he was pushed out of the squad, and then when he left, we improved massively, didn't we? Yeah. We were excellent under that spell under Ten Hag. It happens, and maybe Rashford is the guy this time where you see he's been taken out, and it's took a while. Let's be honest, it wasn't like we took him out and we've been amazing ever since. So maybe it's not that, but the manager is trying to do different things, and the first thing he's emphasised all the time is like, the system is new, the system is different, but that's not even my main focus. My main focus is making the team work hard. It's not about like just the system and the tactics. That's one thing, but getting everyone running and sprinting, and we got it on the thumbnail, but that's the video of everyone running back after 91 minutes yesterday. De Ligt literally just doing his best Usain Bolt impression to get back.
Xerxes as well.
Xerxes. I didn't realise how quick he can be.
Xerxes ended up getting the ball back. But like, and you mentioned the point about Euro in the Liverpool game. He does that sprint, and it's the difference between getting on Darwin Núñez and stopping him having a shot and not. Who knows whether he'd have scored or not, but if he didn't sprint the full time, he wouldn't have got there.
Because he just gets there.
Yeah, he just gets there. And the same yesterday, where when you see that transition play out, we've got 6 men sprinting back. By the time that they actually get the ball to the edge of our box, we've got 4 men back to their 2. Then they get a third man, then we get another 3 behind, and it becomes like a 3-on-4 basically, a 7-on-4 sorry for United.
What's one of the first?
If you don't sprint back, it's not that, and it's a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3.
What's one of the first things we saw with the leaks of Amorim's early training sessions? He was training the players to sprint back more often. But another thing that I saw a point that I think one of my mates made to me actually, in terms of players being able to do that. I don't think it's a scenario where all of a sudden the players are just magically a lot fitter and they can run back now.
No.
It could also just be the fact is Amorim's system requires less of sprinting back that often, so that players are that are actually able physically to do it later in games, where under one of the criticisms under a Ten Hag is the midfield or a lot of the players having to do like 9 or 10 recovery sprints quite often because of how stretched and how expansive the system was, and then people are saying, our players aren't fit enough and he can't run, and then is it one or two things where that could be the case, but it also could be the fact that the system was too demanding physically and didn't allow players to kind of rest enough and sprint at the right moments. I think that could be a factor as well. I think like we're a little bit more solid the players don't have to sprint quite as much. You still have to work hard, obviously, and then players are able to do those recovery sprints at the end of games because they're not having their energy sapped from minute one. Having doing like basically suicide runs.
That's a big part of it as well, and it's how all these things fit together. It's never just the formation or the manager's kind of way with words and man management ability, or just the players' willingness. It's a combination of everything.
I want
to talk more about that in just a second. Before that, Jay,
go on.
Let's talk about today's sponsor, Manscaped. Yeah, using the code Paddock24, you get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Whatever you decide to buy. But can I recommend something to you, Jay?
Go on, recommend it to me.
The Beard and Balls bundle.
Yes,
because
this is
you get the Lawnmower 5.0
amazing.
Ultra, and you get the Beard Hedger as well. How good is that?
Well, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, we've spoken about this many times. We thought Manscaped had peaked with the 4.0, and they went, no. We haven't even got started yet. We've gone to the 5.0 Ultra, which has got the 2 interchangeable skin-safe blades. Then you throw in the Beard Hedger with the titanium-coated steel blades and the 20-length options. I mean, you are in grooming heaven. You are. You've got your beard and your balls sorted. Plus, you're going to throw in 20% off and free shipping thanks to the code Paddock24. I mean, I don't know what more you can ask for in life other than that. I mean, it's phenomenal.
You literally can't. It's got a light on it. It's waterproof as well, so you can trim in the dark.
Multifunctional on-off switch, Joe.
You can trim.
That's all I'm talking about.
Imagine this, Jay. You're on holiday. You've got a round-the-world cruise.
Yeah.
You've stopped off and you're in Thailand.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful places in the world. It's night time, it's dark, you've just been lit by the moon, you see a waterfall in the distance.
Yeah.
You can go and shave your pubes in the darkness under that waterfall.
Right. I mean,
risk-free.
That is what I like to do on holiday.
It's because it's got a light and it's
Thanks
waterproof.
to Manscaped.
Can you imagine?
That dream has become a reality.
Is there a better place to trim?
Yeah, there isn't. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I've not been away, so I just do it at my local baths. But
yeah, fine.
That is
Shallow
the same
end,
thing.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. It's the same principle.
You can
and
do
it's
it
doable
wherever you
thanks
want.
to Manscaped.
Yes, and using the code Paddock24, you get 20% off and free shipping. Your balls will thank you. We've got a couple of super chats. Dr. Axe says these players need to turn up every game, not just the big games. Akash K says Ronnie is spot on. For me, I'll back any player in this team if they perform like that week in, week out. We can look past flaws, etc., provided that they fight. For now, we can, because that's the first thing that we need to get back. Eventually, you need players who have fewer flaws and still really fight if you want to be a top side. But we're kind of rebuilding that.
Because now the big thing as well is, like, you mentioned everything about tactics, but I think personnel matters. Like, I look at that Newcastle game where you had Casemiro and Eriksen in that midfield. Yeah. Like, I know it was Bruno and Ugarte was suspended, but there was a world of difference for a reason as well. Yeah. Because you've got two players that, no disrespect to them, because I like Eriksen, I like Casemiro, but they're probably not going to be here next season for a reason. Yeah. You put in someone like Emmanuel Ugarte in midfield or Kobbie Mainoo, it makes a big difference as well, doesn't it? Having those types of players compared to some of the other players that Amorim has also been sort of not experimenting with, but he's rotated a lot, hasn't he, where he's given players like Anthony some minutes, like we've seen Malacia coming in, we've seen players that we thought might not feature much, been given an opportunity, and then now I'm hoping we're getting towards a stage where it's like, right, this is my core group of players, and I might mix it up a little bit.
He said that himself, didn't he, in the press conference?
It's like now I'm getting towards the end, towards the stage where I have the 7 or 8 who are pretty regular, and then you might mix it up a little bit with the games are coming thick and fast, or someone's not available, whatever. But I feel like we're getting there now, which is what we all sort of predicted.
Yeah, because now, as I said, I'm just going to reiterate it. Going into these games now against the Southampton and the Palace, these are the ones that actually I'm going to be looking more at. I think we need to win those. I think we need to win those games, and we need to it sounds like a lot of pressure, but look good doing it, because as happy as I am about our performances against these bigger teams and the rivals, we need to kind of translate them to like the different game states where you're playing them against teams where you can have more of the ball and you're expected to win, because that's where we've had more issues. I'm looking at the Ipswich game, I'm looking at the Bournemouth game, I'm looking at the Newcastle game. It's been like night and day compared to when we played the bigger teams, and Amorim said it himself that he thinks it's like a mentality thing, he's not quite sure. But for me, I want us to build on this. I don't want it to be just another flash in a pan where we're pulling out an odd result against the rivals because we've worked hard and we've kind of roughed it out. Because if United are trying to get back to where we want to be, we need to go beyond that.
That's the big, like, and obviously Ten Hag's second season was just a disaster all round. But Ten Hag's first season, the thing we were really good at was beating the teams below us. incredible at it. Like, we dropped a lot of points, especially away from home, to the teams around and above us, but beating the kind of 8th downwards, especially at home, we were fantastic at it. Ten Hag was very good at that.
Even the big teams at home as well.
Yeah,
like
that's
our home rate, like we beat City, we beat Arsenal, we beat Liverpool.
Yeah,
like it was just so weird that first season. Like you said, there, like the away record was so horrendous.
Yeah,
some of the worst results we've had ever. And yet at home we were beating everyone.
Yeah.
After that first sort of initial few weeks.
We do need to push on and make sure that doesn't happen. How do you think we do that? How do you think that we now? Let me just get the next few fixtures up, because obviously we've got Southampton midweek, and then after that
we've
got Brighton, then Rangers, then Fulham, then FCSB as well in the Carabao. Not Carabao, sorry, Europa. So 5 games there, all of which are against very beatable sides, 3 of which are at home as well, the next 3. How do we come out of those 5 games with, 10 to 15 points rather than 6 to 8 points like it has been previously to these? What difference do you think there'll be? Is it just a work rate thing? Is it harder to sort of show that work rate in games where you're expected to win? Like these tight, close games where it's cagey 1-1s, 2-2s, it's good, but when you're expected to put 3 or 4 past someone, we seem to struggle to do that.
I think it's just being professional. I think, and not have that little bit of complacency where you come into the game a little bit lax with your concentration because you feel like you should win at a canter. Because that's not where we're at the moment, and that's not the level that the Premier League is at right now as well, where every single game the other team has the ability and has enough quality in there to beat you if you don't turn up. So I think that's what we need to Amorim needs to get into the heads of the players, and we need to, because look at where we are in the table, it's not good enough. So these games are where we've got to take points now.
I also feel like we've got to be more clinical. Like our goal scoring record is still, I know we've scored 2 at Anfield and 1 at the Emirates, but it's a massive issue, and it is still a concern. I don't think we can go, this is it, we've turned this corner and we're banging in goals left, right and centre.
With the strikers.
Yeah, I still worry. I do. And I like Xerxes, for example, but how many goals is he going to come up with?
Because people were there was a lot of positives to come out yesterday, but people saw a lot of criticism about Hojlund's performance yesterday. Obviously, it's not an easy thing trying to be like the sole focal point against the Gabriel and the Saliba when Arsenal got you penned in. But I feel like sometimes you watch Hojlund a lot and you left wanting more.
You criticised him a little, not overly.
The Bruno goal,
on his movement, especially. You kept picking up on it, like his movement. Because I'm a bit I'm just watching the ball like a child, but the movement at times, and I always go back. I know it's almost seems like an eternity ago. But you go back to that Liverpool game at Old Trafford, and it was like Xerxes came on, and I know we missed those chances, but he's where he should be. He's where you want him. Like, when he had the header and the shot saved, I think it was by, I don't think it was it Alisson, it was the other kid.
Kelleher.
Yeah, sorry. But at least he's in those positions. At times, Hojlund's not even there. And that's one thing that worries me a little bit, is just not getting in those positions, let alone taking your chances. It's just, I don't know what the answer is.
No, it's because I've started to try and watch Hojlund more with his movement when we do get into attacking areas and stuff, because everyone's given this huge pass, and I think he's one of the players in the team that gets a lot of excuses made for him. Do you know what I mean? And when I'm watching, and everyone's like, he doesn't get enough service, he has this many shots per game and all this data, but what data doesn't actually calculate is whether he's in the positions to get opportunities enough. Do you know what I mean? I know it could be both things. Both things can be true. Right. But I do sometimes see crosses go into the box, flashes like Bruno will flash the ball across on occasion, and he just never seems to be in the right place. Or his movement might be the wrong place, or he's on his heels a little bit. I think sometimes he was on his heels quite a bit yesterday when balls were getting flicked on towards him when we were trying to get out, when you're the focal point.
Saliba was getting past him,
just get in front of him every single time.
To get to the ball when really you should be goal side of your man there.
Because even for the Bruno goal, some people were still trying to defend him. I thought his movement was.
He sort of. If everyone sees it, he's pointing out, and that's what's
he almost took Bruno's space away. People are trying to excuse it to say that he kind of held Timber's attention, but I think the opposite. I think if he makes a darting run forward, or actually just moves forward, I think Timber goes a little bit with him, And then I think Bruno would have had even more space to score.
Yeah.
But for some reason, did you see it? He kind of like...
I didn't say... At the time, I was watching Bruno, but then you pointed out, you were like...
If anyone could see it, see Bruno's goal, watch Hojlund in that goal, and he just runs straight, makes no movement at all, and just kind of like... He almost gets in the way of Bruno of Bruno's finish there, but Bruno with his quality, which is a great finish, by the way.
It was a great finish. Underrated, that finish.
He wrapped it around Timber.
The thing that Bruno... that Hojlund needs for me is a better striker than him knocking around. Like, the fact that, like, at the minute he goes to training every day, he's a 21-year-old. He should be in the learning phase of his career. Obviously, there have been 21-year-olds in the past who are ready to lead the line, be a 30-goal a season player. Look at Rasmus Hojlund, not Hojlund, sorry, Erling Haaland. That can happen. Wayne Rooney's another one. But most of the time, or often, they aren't. At 21, you're not ready yet to do this yourself. He goes to training. Who is he learning positioning and movement and last-minute sort of check-backs and pushing your man out of the way and taking half a step back to make it? You're not learning much from Xerxes and Rashford, and that's no disrespect to them, but they're not accomplished number 9s. He should have, at Manchester United, you would expect to have someone older, more established, and better than Rasmus Hojlund at training.
That is true, but sometimes... Playing football as a footballer, you got to improve yourself.
I'm not. Making this. None of this his fault. And like I said, there are plenty of strikers in the past who have, understood this themselves and make movement and make space themselves better. And almost like you could almost do with looking at how does an NFL receiver make space for themselves, making runs and then changing directions and looking at just human mechanics of how to send someone one way and go the other way. It's not just look at what my striking partner does, I'll copy that. He should be able to do this himself. YouTube videos and speak to coaches and stuff.
What do you do then for now? do you think it's up to Hojlund to step up? Do you think United have to go in and try and get maybe an experienced player in January?
At the end of the day, it's not his fault with the price tag, but we spent £72 million on a striker yet. We can't give up on him.
No.
And United can't give up on him. So we're just gonna have to see whether we can develop him further and he can get to where we eventually want him to get to. Because at the end of the day, he did score 16 goals in his first season.
Yeah.
He had that crazy purple patch where everything he did come off as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, you want to see this almost like linear progression, which isn't always the case with young players.
No.
It is true, especially with the pressure of playing for a dysfunctional United team. But even still, you would have liked to have seen a little bit more growth in his game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you'll see like one game where you do see a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And then it's the other game, then you don't. So, and unfortunately,
I do like his attitude as well.
Yeah.
Because I think regardless of whether the quality is quite what we want it to be, you look at things like, getting dropped from the FA Cup final must have stung him, but he didn't sulk.
No.
He gets on with it. Do you know what I mean? He plays his part. Like, he's a player who runs himself into the ground. He always gives you, in terms of effort, do you know what I mean? Yes, the movement might not be perfect or whatever, but there's certainly no question that he's trying.
Because
you know what I mean? Which is a bare minimum, but he's doing it.
Because at first I always thought it was the thing of, I think it's hard for any player to kind of perform in the way that the United squad's been in terms of it just being a little bit of a graveyard for everyone. That's why, I think history is going to look back on Bruno Fernandes at United a lot more kindly than we even look at him now. To perform the way he has performed in the teams that he has, with whatever around him and always been available, it's like it probably will be something you might not see again, especially with the numbers. Because we said it upstairs, we even think like Bruno, you almost feel sorry for him a little bit. He could have actually gone to somewhere else and probably have a little bit more silverware with him.
People who want to diss Bruno or say that he's petulant or this, that and the other. He could have started and starred for any club in the world over the last 5-6 years.
100%.
Like, the numbers he's put out, give me another player who plays for Bayern Munich or for even Real Madrid or Barcelona in that position that's got even close to his numbers. There aren't many, and if any. Like, he's created the most chances in the most difficult league in the world since he arrived here. You can't argue with that. That's just a fact. So he could have been winning league after league at PSG, at Bayern Munich, at Real Madrid, at Barcelona. Even chuck him in that Atletico Madrid squad with his work rate and his effort, he'd thrive and he'd get a couple of league titles there as well.
It's horrible to say. He could have gone to City.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They rotate and they've had players, for me, aren't as good as Bruno Fernandes, who've won titles there. He could have gone there and won,
Definitely.
Thank God he didn't. But it does feel a little bit like there's the Ruud van Nistelrooy's about him, where I was saying this upstairs, where it's like Ruud came into a United team that won title after title after title in Champions Leagues, and he left with one title and broke all the records for goal scoring in such a short period of time. It's almost unlucky. Yeah. Then went to Real Madrid and didn't win a Champions League.
Other than Dennis Law, he's still got since Dennis Law, he's still got the record for most goals in a season. 44 goals. More than Ronaldo ever got.
That was the one season, I think, where he won the title. Yeah. And every other season he scored loads of goals and didn't. And then you look at Bruno, and he came sort of, was it post Mourinho?
Yep.
And then we had that barren spell in terms of trophies where we didn't win anything for a few years. Then obviously won the League Cup and the FA Cup. But a player of that calibre should be winning titles.
It's true.
Definitely.
And another thing I wanted to add to the Hojlund point is sometimes you do think, is it just because of United and that? And then people, like, over the past 18 months, even his performances for Denmark has not impressed Denmark fans. Do you know what I mean? Or like, so is one of them, is it him or is it the club or is it just a combination? Because even for Denmark side, he's a pretty good team. They're pretty good team internationally, aren't they? With decent players.
In the Euros, they look good.
And even Hojlund's flattered to deceive for them. So
yeah, he obviously has got a lot to work on. And he's a young player. And the problem is, that's what I'm saying, is not just does he need to learn, but it would be nice if he could learn not quite in the limelight. Obviously, you play for Man United and you're going to be in the limelight. But if we've got a Gyökeres or a Harry Kane, and maybe Gyökeres isn't the right example because he might not be of that standard, but if we'd have got Harry Kane and Hojlund, you've got Kane starting every single week, and you bring Hojlund on for the Europa games or for the last 30 minutes, or maybe he'll start the occasional league game, and he's learning from, look at this guy's movement in training, look what Kane does there, how he spins his man. He's not quick, but he's finding a yard of space in the box all the time. I can do that. How did you do that then? What did you that little shuffle you did there, what was it like? Little things that do improve players. And training, what do they say, steel sharpens steel. Like Rasmus Hojlund, no offence, like I said, isn't learning a lot of little tips and tricks how to be a number 9 from his current teammates. No. He just isn't. So I do feel a bit sorry for him on that front.
It's a good point. You look at the good United teams in the past. You've had players like, I know, Chicharito comes in. Yeah. He's got Robin van Persie. He's got Wayne Rooney there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he plays well when he plays for us, and he gets goals. But he's not the main man straight away.
Yeah.
I mean, later on he played more, but even then, Moyes sort of lost faith in him. But you're coming in as Rasmus Hojlund, and it's like 72 million quid, like you were saying, and you're that guy, and it's like, hang on a minute.
You take Welbeck.
Was it 11? What?
You take Welbeck.
We've done all this. Of course I would. Was it 11, 12 goals at Atalanta the season before he came to? Yeah. And again, I'm not knocking that. It's a decent symbol. Yeah. It's not prolific, is it? And then you come into a Manchester United team with a big price tag, starting every week. And everyone's looking at you to get the goals to sort of carry us towards the title challenge. It's like, it's a bit much, isn't it? Come on.
Yeah, it is. And he's a good finisher. That's one thing that will save him. His finishing is good, and he performs well against his XG, and his conversion rate is very good. And he doesn't always get his finishing right. Obviously, I'm not saying he's a world-class finisher, but one thing that, if he can improve his movement, he's got the fundamentals to kind of back that up with numbers, or seems to have had so far. Looking at United just generally.
Do you think the conversion rate one, do you think, is there a metric that takes into account, obviously, sample size? Because with the fact that Hojlund doesn't get that many shots, and obviously it's always everyone else's fault, that's the reason. So when he does score, will his conversion rate obviously more likely to be higher because he's not taking as many shots?
Potentially,
you can look at it either way.
Yeah, it depends it depends on the types of shots he has. If he's someone that, if he was better at making space for himself in the box, he might be having more difficult shots more often, which would obviously bring his conversion rate down. So maybe at the minute you could argue the shots he does end up having, because it has to be so cut and dry that he's in space and there's time and we've got behind the line or whatever, for him to get that shot, he's more likely to score. But I do think that's kind of potentially looking for the negatives a little bit, regardless of whether he can keep those numbers up. I think we've seen generally in front of goal he can finish, and I think if he can get in better positions and shoot more often and shoot from those good positions more often, I think we will see a striker that's capable of getting 20 goals. He got 16 last season. He obviously could go on to get 20 if he improves his movement a bit and finds space in the box a bit more often. But it's not just him. Generally this season we've underperformed on our XG by over 9 goals already. So imagine if you can, obviously you can't cherry pick where you put them, but if you place those 9 goals in a decent order, that could comfortably be 8 points. 9 points, 12 points. You think, 9 extra goals here and there. That can be, we could be 6th. It's massive. So if you start just scoring the chances we create, that'll be huge. Before we even need to worry about how we make more chances and more space in the box, let's start scoring some of the chances we do make first. And that's not to be overestimating us. That's just to be what we should be. Do you know what I mean? That's just the sort of the par score here. That isn't like if we are world class at finishing. That's just, can we be normal? Von Maxwell says, off topic, but Ugarte's been absolutely savage for us. We finally have someone who can match Leach's aggression. You like him, don't you?
The guy, unlike you two, I like
my favourite player.
Hey. Well, sorry, it wasn't you, was it? It was him and Maka. You doubted him.
I never doubted him.
I didn't.
No, that's what I said. It's him and Maka. Sorry, I got you mixed up. It's not you, it's the other one.
We do look alike.
But I said to him at the time, because you'd seen more of him at PSG, I hadn't. So I was going off what I saw at United, and I liked what I saw at United because I thought he looks like the type of player we need. And then, obviously, the more he's played, the better he's been, and the more we've seen of him. And he's just hard not to fall in love with the man.
Yeah, it's true.
To be honest,
he's gone from that to be like my favourite player. Like he's doing, because it's a lot to do with those intangible stuff of just like the aggression that he plays with and the tenacity play, because we've been, I don't know if you can even say it, but we've been so soft like a lot, for too often, and we don't have enough of that in the team, and he's brought it. Even just like what he did to Sterling, I said Sterling. I like Jason Sterling's my guy, but even that, just a little bit of an edge, man.
Do you know what I love?
Because you can get your teammates. You can actually get your teammates going when you play like
massively.
that.
Do you know what I mean? I like that. When he arrived first,
was it when he walks into Foden?
Yeah,
he just walks into him and just knocks him out of the way.
Yeah.
And Foden's like on the floor, like, what are you doing?
Nah.
I love a little bit of that, just. But the quality as well. Yeah. Like, he's not just a thug running around kicking people.
He's been decent on the ball. He's been secure as well. He's actually been much better in that area. Because I did see a little bit of him when he was at PSG, and I didn't think that he would come in and do all that well, especially with the way. Because I looked at it as well as when transfers are coming in, I'm looking at how like the composition of the team and how the team's functioning anyway, and I feel like it's bad for the players that we sign. But I think there's always that shiny new toy thing with the players that we sign with fans. And I thought players that come in have to be exceptional to actually look decent with how dysfunctional the team is. And I thought that he might get dragged into the rest of the mess.
Does it look to you though, so far, like, I know there's a big question mark still over Xerxes, but the transfer window looks like they got it right.
I think you look at most of them. Yeah, I think Ugarte has been, I think, excellent overall. I think De Ligt has been good with excellent at times. I think Mazraoui has been excellent, good at times. Who else did we sign? Xerxes, obviously, who's been, I would say, maybe slightly below average.
Yeah, I don't want to just go because he's had a good game.
It's not that.
It's not, and it's.
But I look at it overall as a transfer window. I think
every
signing, and I don't say this often about Manchester United, has made sense.
Yeah, it has. And then just on Ugarte, obviously, we talk about the intangible stuff, the fight and the desire and grabbing Havertz and giving him a little head-to-head and all that.
We all wanted to do that, didn't we?
Yeah, but
if any of us lot played for United, right, it would have been over.
Yeah,
we said McCall at one point was saying, just punch him, punch the ref. Yeah. Just if you know what he said, if Maguire punches the ref, I won't even blame him.
Yeah,
like,
you would blame us.
And he's banned for 18 months.
We were getting so annoyed, like because they're professional keeping our heads. But honestly, if we were like watching that game with like a FIFA pad and that, we would have got 20 reds because it was that point in the watch line we were just like, take him out.
Yeah,
just wipe him out.
Just wipe. How the players kept it.
But it's good that we can compete on that level as well, like you said, Ronaldo. It doesn't feel like we've had that fight, and I can even imagine. And this is like talking about other players bringing you up. I think De Ligt's got that fight. I know he's not sort of swinging and getting his head stuck in, but he plays with that fight. Obviously, I think Bruno does, Ugarte does. But what you said about bringing other people to that level, I can see in my head a Harry Maguire where it's something's happened and it's a shoulders down, sort of sighing, for God's sake, walking away from that situation. Like, we were 1-0 up, then the red card, now we're going to be 2-1 down. He's sort of gutted and upset and he's walking off. And instead it wasn't that, it was calling Havertz a shithouse and a cheat and all that. Like, maybe part of that is the influence of his teammates of, here's what you do now, you don't shoulders down and walk away, you fight and we're going to come back from this. So maybe that's part of it as well. And just looking at some of Ugarte's numbers, the tangibles, if you will, defensively, he's actually literally on another level. He's averaging 4.44 tackles per 90 in the Premier League, which puts him in the top 1%. And I think actually puts him basically at number 1 in the Premier League. He's literally winning as many tackles or more than anyone else in the league. That's the same for dribblers tackle. His tackles and interceptions, both of them together, which is obviously winning the ball back from the opposition, is the top 1% in the league.
I actually love that.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to hope that those numbers come down a bit.
Why? Because it means we keep the possession.
It means that we're actually defending less.
Yeah, maybe. Well, on that as well, then, because one thing we were slightly worried about was how is he in possession? Can he control the ball? Can he, dictate things a little bit where necessary? And you look at his numbers for his mid-range passing. His completion rate is in the top 1%. His long-range passing completion rate is in the top 10%. So he's not like, as soon as he has to find a tricky 20-yard pass, he loses it. It's actually, his percentages are fantastic. Yeah, so he keeps the ball as well.
He keeps it simple, and he plays within that. I always have a respect for players that do that. He doesn't try and do. He does his job, and he does his job so well, and he's really consistent with it. And he's not one of them players that likes to try and do stuff out of the ordinary or kind of like almost exert themselves a little bit too much. He just does his job really well, which is break up play, and then on the ball, he's actually been really secure on it. He's even dribbled out of danger at times. Yeah, well, he seems to make good decisions.
19% as well. So
that was always his best trait coming out of PSG. When I said Manuel Ugarte, his best trait on the ball wasn't his passing, but he's actually really good. He's a decent ball carrier. He's got a bit about him when he can dribble and carry. We haven't even seen loads of it, but he's capable of it. Yeah. And I've just been really impressed by him. Yeah. Literally, and it's not even with him. It's not even just been a one-off game. It's literally been the last 7-8 games, just constant, consistent performance.
We haven't seen that, have we? We saw McTominay and Fred weren't that those guys, were they really? Together they did quite well for a spell where we got second, whatever, but we didn't see that level of quality consistently like we have done over 7-8 games. Amrabat could turn up, obviously, in the cup final, which I never stopped going on about, but he didn't do it over the course of his time at United. Ugarte does look like he's that one we've been missing, the one that's just got those traits that you brought him in for. That's what you brought him in to do, and that's what he's capable of. Yeah. And I keep going back to it, that's been a rarity at United over the last sort of 10 years. It's like we're bringing these players to do it, and they don't do it, but he does.
It's a couple of players, that kind of players. We've had so few of them. Other than Casemiro, we got Schneiderlin, but immediately admitted that didn't work. We had Matic, but we
gave up. I used to defend Morgan Schneiderlin so much on socials, and then I just gave up.
A couple of players that have probably been some of our best performers for the first half of the season have been two players that Ten Hag didn't fancy, innit?
What, Mazraoui and Ugarte?
No, Ugarte and Ahmad.
Yeah.
Because a lot's come out saying he wasn't a signing he wanted. He wanted to keep.
It doesn't do many favours.
Yeah, he wanted Amrabat back apparently, and then he wanted to keep McTominay, and he wasn't a fan, and that's why when Ugarte initially come in, other than him obviously needing to get up to speed a little bit.
He didn't play him,
didn't play him.
No.
Wasn't there 2 games where he got 5 minutes out of the 2 games?
Yeah,
he was just on the bench.
It was obvious. And then you had Amrabat saying, if you want to know why I'm at United, ask Jason Wilcox, or ask Mr. Wilcox. It's obvious that.
Yeah.
Like you said, the McTominay thing, a lot of people got it because McTominay scored a load of goals for Ten Hag and carried on doing it at Napoli. It was obvious Ten Hag didn't really want to lose him. But listen, you can't moan about your guy. And I think.
No, he's been.
I don't want to just hate on Ten Hag now he's gone, but there was times when we backed him and what he was trying to do. But I think he got some things wrong, especially towards the end. And not giving Diallo and Ugarte more minutes was 2 of them.
Yeah, it does look silly. I mean, and there's also potential that they suit Amorim's system more than they suit Ten Hag's system. I'm not sure that that's the case. But I do think that you look at what he wanted from his wingers. He likes very quick, counter-attacking, direct kind of driving style. And Ahmad's got a bit of that, but he's more controlled and... immediately Ten Hag didn't like Sancho and he didn't like Ahmad. They are more like each other than they are like Rashford, for instance. Do you know what I mean?
He started, the wing pairing with Garnacho and Rashford which is not a creative wing pairing at all, with the striker Hojlund, who's usually meant to be based on pace and power. Yeah. The team was set up to be a counter-attacking, vertical, very direct team that led us into tennis matches. Yeah, that we lost more often than not. Yeah. Players got injured running too much.
That was the thing. That was a part of the criticism. Wasn't it?
Was.
He did adapt as well when he had to. When you have a way, and I get it, and you have a style, and you have players that you. But when that's going wrong, when it came time to go, okay, I've got to mix it up. Even right towards the end when you think, this is it, this is your last chance. Yeah. It's, you know, it just didn't happen. And, you know, that's unfortunate, but here we are, and, you know, no disrespect to Nagel, but I'm glad we've got Ruben Amorim, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too. It's funny as well, isn't it? Like, me and Steve were chatting the other week, or last week, I think it was, about who we should sign and who would sort of push us back up. And basically, who we need to sign is Jadon Sancho, but not Jadon Sancho. Like, he's the exact, like...
He would have suited Amorim so much more.
On paper, he suits Amorim perfectly. Yeah, he does. He's not a quick player, but a little bit of pace where he needs to. He can nip past someone, but he's technically secure, can find a pass.
A winger 10 hybrid.
Yeah, and yet we've just got rid of him. But I think, like we're saying about sort of attitude and stuff, obviously, Ten Hag fell out too many times.
There's stuff other than the pitch and that didn't... We talked about before.
Yeah.
Having a team full of players that are committed, care about each other, all believe in the same cause, work hard, want to run. Sometimes that matters more than like personnel and profile fit sometimes. Yeah.
And especially we're seeing that with the likes of De Ligt and Mazraoui and Ugarte, the battlers and the fighters.
Do you know who as well deserves a bit more credit? I think I've seen some sort of almost semi-critical player ratings or whatever. Collier coming into this yesterday, like coming into that, which is... This kid gets thrown in, doesn't he, at the deep end. Was he 3-0 down against the Scousers? And down to 10 men against Arsenal, the Emirates. There you go, son. Your third game for United ever. But, you know, he put himself about a lot as well. You know that move you were talking about where Xerxes sprints back and does a slide? It's Collier, I think, who's there to clear it as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not easy for a kid coming into that, and he did well.
What I will say, because a lot of people think it's easier when you're a sub and you've come on into a game against a team... A game that can be quite intense at that point, but you feel like everyone's got running in their legs and you're fresh off a bench. Everyone thinks that you should be able to just sprint about manically, but it never works like that. No. I actually feel like when you come on, the first 10 minutes or so, you almost feel like you're more tired than everyone else. Right. And you only just come on because you're almost like they've got their second wind. You need to get your energy systems going. Your legs haven't kind of got into the pace of the game. But he just came on and he was like straight away. He was on it, and I think he actually was a big reason why we was able to see that out, because we're down to 10 men, but Collyer, his best attributes, as people have always mentioned, has been like his engine and his athleticism and his ability to get about the pitch and his ground coverage. He almost made up for, by himself, the fact that we had one man less, almost. I feel like he almost did the job of two people with how he put himself about. Good. And when you've got people like Bruno as well, who... last 30 minutes was running around like...
Diallo's like that.
He was like, Diallo. I think I saw Bruno in the last 30 minutes. He was centre half at one point. He was right back at one point.
Martinez was playing up front.
Yeah. Martinez, what was that? He was like, hang on a minute. Did
you find out why?
Was it to put Xerxes in the back line for his height?
Nah, it wasn't that. So Martinez cramped up and we didn't have any subs left. So Bruno's come over to Amorim and gone, as a skipper, he's gone... Martinez, he's cramping up his legs, he was struggling, and then Bruno was basically like, I'm going to go centre half and I'm going to push Martinez up so he can, obviously until he sorts himself out, he can write himself out a little bit. Apparently that was the reason why he did it.
I just thought fuck this, I've scored at Anfield.
Yeah, I'm scoring again. That goes back to the thing there where Amorim said about there's the system and
you just wanted to win.
I'm going up front.
Give me that ball, move.
There's the system and the style, but there's also common sense. Yeah. And there's like football intelligence and things like that where you got a guy here who's can't run basically, whatever, and you've got Arsenal who are playing these runs in behind, desperate to clip balls behind you. Let's take him out, and that just makes sense. Like I like that we do that.
Credit to Bruno as well, man. Everyone wants to give him stick as all that nonsense. Remember that nonsense at Anfield where it was like he wanted to come off even though he didn't. And he's doing the right things as a captain. Yeah. And helping us get results, so fair play to him.
Yeah, fair play indeed. And like we said, we can all look ahead to the next few games, those 4 games against Southampton, Brighton, Rangers and Fulham, and worry that we're going to slip back to where we were. But I'm just going to enjoy being a little bit better.
Yeah, should we just already put the L down for Brighton? It feels like we can't. That's how we beat
You know what?
It's your favourite team.
It's not the Brighton, it's that 1-1 against Southampton is going to be so deflated.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the scrappy 1-1. Wait, you loved the scrappy 1-1 last week. No. What do you mean?
You're gonna go into that and you just love.
Yeah.
90th minute, equaliser, Tyler Dibble.
Tyler Dibble, I'm just thinking of him.
Like,
Officer Dibble. I can't be conceded to someone from Top Cat.
That's a 15.
Jesus. Let's talk about Wally of the week. I mean, say it with me.
I was going to say, we're all going to have the Andy Madley. You have to be
know what?
Oh,
it's rough stuff. I almost feel bad for him at this point.
I don't. Yeah, I think like it's him, but also there's a lot of honourable mentions out there.
Oh, Kai Havertz. But the thing is, if Kai Havertz wasn't so shit, he'd be Wally of the week. But he was so bad, he actually helped us. So he's almost my hero of the week.
It's Andy Madley. I can't say because I'm usually not someone that blames refs, but I've never been so infuriated watching a refereeing performance before.
Was that the worst one you've seen?
That has to be the worst referee performance I've seen since that referee that did the Chelsea Barcelona.
Oh shit!
Ball geezer. Cost us the Champions League that season. That
where it was just he was just a Barca player.
Yeah. It was basically obviously we've found out in future that literally UEFA, especially at that point, was so corrupt in terms of the refereeing when it comes to Barcelona and Real Madrid, didn't they? There was a massive thing there where they were very biased to those two teams against English teams because England.
Remember Van Persie's red card?
Yeah, because that was it was a period where I think the Premier League.
Never seen that before or since.
That was a period where I think the Premier League were kind of like dominating the Champions League a little bit. There were loads of like it was United or Chelsea.
Liverpool win it. Arsenal get to the final. We got to 3 finals in 4 years.
Chelsea
got to another final. Chelsea won it. From 2005 to 2013. There's an English team.
Obviously, you had a generational Barcelona team in that
spell.
But the refereeing sometimes, and I think it's not as bad now. But I think that's Andy Madley yesterday. It wasn't just the blatant obvious decisions that we remember, like the penalty and that. It was just throughout the game. He was every single infringement and 50-50 decision. He went Arsenal's way.
Have you seen the Collyer header?
I can't believe some of the.
I saw it at the time.
I didn't see it at the time. I didn't.
Where he jumps up and wins the header over someone.
And he gives a free kick. Yeah. It's like what?
Anytime we touched one of their players, he blew the whistle.
Yeah, it was weird.
And then the other way around, he wouldn't do it. So I was like. It looked like the most blatant case of match fixing I've ever seen.
We've got a video coming out about that tonight about are United unfairly treated, and whether it's on purpose or not, the numbers seem to suggest that we are a little bit actually. In terms of how VAR has hurt or helped us and the types of fouls and decisions that we're getting against us compared to league averages. It is a bit weird.
Even though it helps us as well. Sorry to go on. I think we have to give an honourable mention to David Raya.
Yeah.
Because
that was funny, wasn't it?
That was just bizarre.
I know people used to give David De Gea
I didn't watch the penalty until today.
Yeah,
because I didn't see him yesterday. And I was watching him. I saw the screenshots last night, and I watched that one last night, but some of them I was like, what is he doing?
He's literally in his car for one of them.
Yeah.
When the ball,
Raya.
When Martinez hits the ball, David Raya is in his car.
What's he doing? The Lenny Yoro one was the worst.
It's unbelievable. He literally just runs off.
You can't do that.
You did spot it on thingy, but then when you see the replay, there was one where he's literally dope like that.
Yeah.
And you freeze frame it, and Lenny Yoro's like still one step away from kicking the ball.
And Raya's head is past the post.
Yeah.
Like it's mad. It's like he's. I don't.
He had an accurate something.
That'll be that set piece coach, you know.
And also the way he threw himself. When the ball's going that way, like a keeper will sometimes when you 50 your weight, whatever, a keeper like David De Gea's doing, you saw almost fall. Yeah. So it's like, oh bollocks, it's gone the other way. But he's dove like he's got to save it. Yeah. Like the ball's gone that way. And he's ended up past the post.
It's mad, isn't it?
It looks ridiculous.
I think it was
terrible.
I think it's because I don't know if it's because he's short, or maybe the set piece thing was.
I think you're right. Set piece, it feels
saying dive early, it might psych him out or something like.
But
I'm not sure.
The shuffling of the feet was so weird, wasn't it? Because it's like almost saying to Lenny Yoro, "Go on then."
Yeah.
And Lenny Yoro's going.
It was unfortunate that 3 of our penalty takers as well did either a hop or a hesitation.
So he just waited.
Yeah, Bruno just watched him fuck off. And then, there you go.
I think Lenny Yoro was the only one. Lenny Yoro was the only one that just stepped up and put it in the corner. I think the rest of them did a kind of.
I was impressed as well because I didn't watch it till today. Was the Bayern Days save for Havertz was a good.
Very good.
Because it's quite low in it. It's not an amazing penalty, but it's not a terrible one.
It's right in the corner.
Yeah, it's a really good save. You said it earlier on. It wasn't like he hit it with pace, but he hit it in a good place. Yeah. From a penalty taking. Bayern Days gets done well, man. Yeah, so
he does.
Fair play to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all rosy in it.
We're just enjoying it. We know that we've won literally in 90 minutes no games in about 2 months.
I know.
So
I know.
I get it, but we are purposefully and willingly enjoying it maybe more than we should. We're just basking in it.
Comments on the news like you've won one game in like a month or whatever.
Yeah, we're basking in it. That's all right. That's okay.
It's because it's games we should. No one thought we'd have a hope in. That's why.
And it's the performances as well.
Now we need to win the next. Obviously, Brighton's a difficult one. I think we've not beat Brighton in like 5 matches.
No, we beat. Not too bad. We beat him away second to last game of the season last year.
The last game, I remember
Joe
that.
knows.
I hate Brighton.
We beat him 2-0 away. Was it that one?
Yeah. Just for the FA Cup final.
The caveat was.
They weren't.
Zerbi was on his way out.
Brighton were basically was it the second to last or was it last game?
Yeah, it was like second to
last game of the season, and it's when you play mid-table teams around that time, they're almost half on the beach already.
They're
on the beach in that game.
On the beach, but those 2 wins give us a bit of momentum.
Brighton
for the cup
should be
final.
having this record against us, by the way. That's a joke. That we used Brighton. Come on.
Yeah,
Jesus wept.
Right. Lovely. It's been nice chatting, hasn't it? That 55 minutes has gone so quick, you know. Do you know when we've won and we've played all right and we're actually trying? It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's all we got to do. Just beat Arsenal every week. Everything will be all right.
Yeah, so if we can play Arsenal next week, that'd be great. Thank you, Ronaldo. Thank you, Jay. Thank you to everyone for joining us at home as well. And as always, I'm sure you know this, but all of our podcasts are available on Spotify, on iTunes, anywhere you get your audio. Make sure you subscribe on there as well. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you in a bit.